Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of What Do You Do podcast. My name is JJ. Alongside with me is my co-host, Cal Vola. Today, we have a special guest and a good friend of ours, Matt Hayes, that owns a detail shop in Dundas, Ontario. We are so thankful to have such a great friend to come onto the podcast and tell us about his journey, everything he's gone through, owning the business, and all his ups and downs. So, welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being So basically on the podcast, we like to talk about, everyone's journey, kind of start to finish. Were they, when they were a kid, what they were inspired by when they were younger, and as we grow up. So what were a couple things when you were younger that you liked doing, or things that you had passions about when you were younger?
Growing up, my dad had a used car lot, so I hung out there like evenings, Saturdays of the summer. Always like scrubbing white walls, rubbing wax off, just being a gopher, getting coffees, getting lunch, dropping off this, picking up that, going for rides. Like I spent every spare minute there. So kind of from there, as I got older, I could do more like cleanup wise, and then being next door to a Dairy Queen, people getting like ice cream or whatever, they'd see me doing that. And like, hey, can you do that to my car? So I'm like a 12, 13-year-old kid cleaning up some stranger's car.
Yeah.
Or there was a mechanic in the back. So the guy, his name is Doug, he would work on a car, and then he'd be like, Jordan wants his car cleaned up after I change the oil. Like, yeah, cool, I'll do it. Used car lots and garages in town as I got 14, 15, 16.
And was it a younger passion at a younger age? Like, how old were you then? Did you love detailing? Was it exciting for you?
I don't know, maybe it's like OCD or something. I just like like a nasty white wall or, a car full of dog hair, just seeing the end result. So I stuck to it. And I maybe my first 5 minutes of school, I realized, hey, this isn't for me. Like, I'm talking nursery school.
Right.
Sure, I remember the teacher, I guess I was upset. She gave me a cookie. She's like, you'll be all right. I'm like, no, I'm not going to be all right. I don't want to be here. So anyway, I just, breathed out of my mouth, looked out the window until grade 12. And then awesome. Finished school on Wednesday, started working full-time on Thursday.
Wow. Jeez, man. Yeah, so I guess like you'd see a car and you're like, man, this thing's dirty. Like, why don't you clean your car? What's the matter with you, man? Like, it should be, a certain way, right? And so you started super young, like. When did you start drive? You said you were driving around people's cars and whatnot. Like, did you have your license at that point, or were you just?
No, I would. So there'd be 16-inch cars on the lot. So I would park them, straighten them out, or for fun, put them on angles. And I remember, I think I was 11 years old. There was a white Toyota Tercel in the back, and Dad's like, "Put that car over there." I'm like, "Oh, I can't. It's a stick." He's like, "Yeah, try it." So anyway. I did.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
Yeah.
A lot of grinding and crunching, but it worked out.
Yeah, it's okay. It's good. Was it his car or one of his lockers?
It was just some old piece of $50 trade-in, so it didn't really matter what happened. I could have smashed into a tree.
True.
Yeah.
Good time to learn.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. So was that something that your dad would do with you? Is just kind of throw you into a fire and just be like, "Hey,
or
man,"
he'd be like, "Help me do this car," and then his phone would ring. And then hours later, he'd come back, and I'd be almost done,
Yeah. Jeez,
over my eyes at a young age.
For sure. So you started pretty much on the lot, when you were 11, 12 years of age sort of thing?
Yeah, that's when I started work. But I always, I look forward to going there on Saturdays. And it was always social. So people, his buddies would hang out. We'd go to Danny Chan's for lunch and Western Omelets and just hang out. And it was just a group effort.
Yeah. That's so awesome, man.
So I spent a lot of time there.
Yeah,
cool.
For sure, man.
Now, did you have any dreams or aspirations when you were younger? Thinking that you wanted to be a certain job, career. Every kid's got that dream or passion when they're younger.
No, my passion has always been cars. So
okay.
And I watched American Graffiti for my first time ever. I'm like, what is this car? I need one. It was a 32 Ford. John Milner's the character. And so I was working and saving money. I'm going to buy a 32 Ford. Well, it didn't happen. So anyway, I settled for, instead of a 32, I bought a Model A. So it's a 1931 Ford. And was 18. I'd never spent a dime on anything. I'm just working and saving my money. And I bought a frame in Columbus, 2002. And the next spring, I drove the car to Columbus.
Yeah.
So all that money that I'd saved was up in smoke. And I still have the car. So.
Oh, good.
Yeah. So that time. So I guess a little bit of backstory. Me and Matt, we've been to car shows growing up. We went to Columbus, Ohio growing up when we were kids. I think I was 12 years of age. And
I think there's 23 or 24. I've been to every one except COVID.
Right. Yeah.
It's one of my favorite weekends of the summer. I look forward to.
Yeah. And
it goes by too fast, and before you know it, you're you're on your way home.
Exactly. And
The best.
yeah, and you were always a guy. I mean, you had your Model A there. You won like a bunch of awards for that.
Pretty lucky with stuff like that.
Yeah. So what were some of the awards that you had won?
That one I got picked for. At the time, I was under 25, and they have a special area for cars they're going to judge. So I won that. I won the Rod and Custom Top 10. And like most traditional, all in the same weekend. So I got like a really cool Street Rodder Top 10 Dickies jacket. And I got to like drive up on stage and get the award and in the magazine, and like it's just cool.
How old were you when you had that Model A? Like when you finished it?
19.
You were 19. Wow, eh?
Yeah.
It's not a lot of kids that 19 years old rolling around in a Model A.
Own car, everything. Worked hard for it.
Like, oh, your dad let you drive his car all the way here? Still get that.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah. Because your dad's quite famous too, or in the movie scene, right?
Yeah, so he supplies like cars different years for different theme movies. Like right now, there's supposed to be in Japan World War II movie, so they're scrounging, pre-war cars. It's tricky for them because right now they're going to film some of it, I guess, here and some in Korea. So they're back and forth on pictures trying to make this. I think it's a '38 Pontiac or something look like the same car they have in Korea. So it's a huge rush, chaos until all of a sudden like it's done, and then they start filming, and then after that.
Right.
Because your dad has quite the collection of cars himself too, eh?
Yeah, he doesn't keep them. He buys and sells. So right now he's got a 54 Merc, a 54 tow truck, and a 57 Ford pickup truck. But in a month from now that'll change.
Yeah. He's always cycling through all different cars based on the movies that he's doing.
Exactly.
And all that kind of stuff.
Like Umbrella Academy, they had a whole bunch of '60s cars. Well, all those cars are gone, and they're going to move on to whatever the next movie is. And it's not just cars. It's like huge grain trucks for like blocking off like modern Starbucks or whatever in the background, or even like they had to buy this last Elvis movie. They had to get a '50s bulldozer because Elvis is going to drive a bulldozer.
Right.
So they had to buy that and get it running. And,
No way.
That's cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, so take us back, Matt, to you were working at your dad's dealership and selling the used cars and all, or working on them. So
I was working, and I went and got my salesman's license so I could legally sell a car if someone wanted to buy it.
were you any good? Were you any good at
I never really
selling?
got into it. It was just a lot of talking and back and forth. You want to take it for a ride. But I let Dad handle it if he wanted to buy something.
Right. Yeah, you didn't. That wasn't your thing. You're like,
I guess it. I just never. Maybe I'll try it again, but I don't know. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, man.
And maybe I was too young. Like they didn't take me seriously.
It's not for everybody too. I mean, talking to customers, trying to sell them the car. They ask a bunch of questions. You don't honestly know because you're just trying to sell them on the value of the car, not necessarily every option, and it can get quite annoying. I mean, obviously,
Did you notice those nice horizontal lines in the carpet? You should buy it.
Yeah, exactly. That's right. Awesome. And so, when did you actually start getting into your own business, Hayes Detail? When did you acquire the building, all that kind of stuff?
So that was January 1st, 2004. We moved in there, and it was kind of temporary. And now it's been 19 years. So 5 years ago, I took over 3/4 of the building. And again, when things are rocking in the right, the right weather, it's still too small, but it's gonna stay. It's a big nut to crack.
Yeah, man. And it's such a staple in Dundas. I mean, everybody wants to stop by your shop. It's very vintage, very cool. A lot of old signage.
I got into collecting gas and oil and porcelain signs and hubcaps and license plates and for some reason I have way too many steering wheels, valve covers, and there's always something old or cool outside. I do that on purpose, and it just draws a crowd.
People, they just want to come by, take a picture in there, which is super cool.
Or they'll come in, they won't even look at me. They look around. What's for sale?
Yeah, nothing.
Yeah.
Don't even talk about it. But it makes it such a great.
Don't even look at it. It's not for sale.
But it's great, for the aesthetics, right? Of that
for sure.
vintage.
If it was just a gray 4-wall building, it'd be cold. Yeah,
right.
It's not the same.
Sure. Yeah, true. Gives it that nostalgia because obviously a lot of detail shops now being more sharp, edgy, a lot of different lighting, right? From what I see on social media, but I still love coming to your shop the most because
maybe I'm stubborn and take it the wrong way, but I don't do any of that modern bull. Not into it.
But there's also great clientele that can apprate everything you have in your store, and it always gives somebody to look at for about an hour, right?
Exactly.
All the different signs, hubcaps, and then they probably look at it like, I could use that, right?
Or they'll call me the next day and hey, I'm looking for a part to their old car. And if I know, I'll pass the information. But
Sure,
If
sure.
I don't, maybe I'll help them find it.
Yeah. Do you drop? Do people like drop off stuff at the shop too, like vintage stuff that
Oh, yeah.
they're like,
All the
hey
time.
Matt, like I was
Yeah.
wondering maybe like if you could put this up somewhere, or sort of thing. So
Yeah.
no way.
And I hang it up, and they like to come back and see it.
Yeah,
It's
what's-
not like I take and sell it. Like,
Yeah.
stick it on a dusty shelf. You know?
What's the coolest thing anyone's ever dropped off in the shop?
It wasn't dropped off. I was at a friend of mine's trucking yard, and behind his toolbox, I saw like the last quarter of an Esso sign. And I said, "What are you doing with that sign?" He's like, "Just take it home with you." Okay. It was porcelain. It's a huge Esso porcelain sign. It's hanging. It's yeah. Thank you.
No way.
Wow. And do you know like what something like that would be worth?
A couple grand.
Wow.
Just take it. Here you go. Couple grand.
Thank you.
I mean, he knows that you're not going to sell it and like
No.
make a profit off it, but
For
he's
sure.
like every time he can go by the shop, see it up there.
Yeah.
Dude, this is awesome.
Just
So-
last fall, this cool old guy brought me like these old tin. I think they're Chesterfield or something cigarette cans.
Sure.
I put them on the shelf. It's cool. Nice thought.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Let's do it. And the other day, a guy gave me a dummy spotlight. And I already have like a rack of them in the bathroom, so I even just hung it up with the rest of them, you know?
Yeah.
Just for fun.
True. Now, talk about us like the journey of like owning and operating the detail shop. Like obviously it was 2004. When you started.
2004 when I moved to where I am now, but before that, so it would have been like, the summer of '01. That's it. I'm there. I'm full time.
Right.
Like after high school.
After high
Every
school
day.
detailing cars, and then when you opened the store of Hayes Detail, was it scary? Like what were your thoughts going? Because how old were you then? You would have been like 20
In the where it was.
when you started
I was
Hayes.
20. I started like taking it kind of like serious.
Yeah,
Yeah, 20.
20. Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So at 20 years old, opening a store in Dundas, how scary was that at that time?
I never really found it scary because I was always busy. It got scary, like back then it kind of dropped off maybe November and it's seasonal. Everyone would, if I'm going to go away, what I'm going to buy because I had to still pay rent and all that kind of stuff. And then it never really picked up again until April. But now things change. Like now it's 11 months full speed ahead. And don't worry about that anymore. But yeah.
Expanding and going into a couple years into the business. I mean, I'm sure you had to get employees. Like, what was it like? Like hiring people, like doing actually that business owner things.
I've learned everyone wants to talk to me. If you say Cal works with me, they don't want to talk to Cal. You might as well be invisible or something like that. Where's Matt? Where's Matt? No,
Right.
He does all the work. He does all the driving. I want to talk to Matt. So if I step out for an hour, I can't do that. I have to be there all the time.
Sure,
Yeah, and
sure.
I'm sure today that's probably frustrating.
It is.
Yeah.
For sure. And then trying to hire someone like that's a, might as well. If I could just do everything myself, I would, but I can't. I realize that. There's no
Yeah.
hiring team, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So
And 19 years into the business, do you still love detailing cars? Is it still a passion?
yeah, sometimes.
Right.
Sometimes I hate it and want to light the building on fire. But what are you going to do?
Yeah.
We're in it now.
Yeah,
For sure.
exactly.
For sure, man.
Wow. And what would you say is the biggest struggle of owning a detail shop?
It would probably be two things. The painful conversations that I get locked in or phone calls about nothing or, I go make, can I get my van cleaned up tomorrow? Yeah, cool. Never mind. I got to go. I'm getting my prostate removed. I'm like, I didn't need to know the information. Like people tell me
Yeah.
so much stuff. Number
Yeah.
one, I don't need to know. And you could just say I need to cancel or whatever. Like spare me the
Yeah.
The
spare.
details, yeah.
And then once you get a great group of guys who, working, it's cool, but they eventually get, they go to university or they're going to move on or their wrists sore. So then I have to start all over again. And that's really hard to get someone every day, 8 to 5, that can hang out with me and listen to all my one-liners and all my bullshit.
Right.
Probably not that easy.
Yeah. No, that's true.
I don't think you're too hard of a guy to work with. I don't know. What do you?
It is business. I'm not there for fun.
For
Yeah,
sure,
true.
for
Yeah.
sure, man. Yeah. So every year, do you have to bring on new employees, new
Yeah,
staff?
pretty much. Like right now, there's 2 of us, and one of them's leaving. He's got a job in the union, so it's going to be this other new guy. Well, he's not really new. He's been there since September, October. So it'll be fine. We'll just start over.
Sure,
What
sure.
can you do?
When you're like full out in the summer, springtime, how many staff would you like to have?
It
And-
works the best, including me, if there's 5, because I talk so much and I'm on the phone. I'm over here, I'm over there. I'm parking a car, I'm getting a parking ticket. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. So really, while I'm doing all that, work still happens.
Got
Right.
it. Okay.
So you need 5. So right now it's just you and another person.
There's 2 of us.
Oh, 2. And we're obviously detailing for the Canadian climate is definitely a seasonal thing,
Seasonal,
right?
yes.
It's, from April probably to October, November. But then also too, I think you do
Yeah, I
undercoating.
do that from like Labor Day until whenever it ends. So January, February, once the roads get nasty. And it's usually either January or February sucks. This year, it was the end of February, beginning of March. It's been quiet, but a little bit of sun, and we'll get back to work.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm sure with owning like the detail store, there's a lot of opportunities on making, either cash on the side, just doing some simple things like when you see a car come in, maybe a customer wants to sell a car, and you have the relationship with your father, used car lot, take it in, and then sell it. Probably a lot of side things that you can do.
You could. I don't really get into that because there's not a lot of parking, so I don't want this car hanging around in my way. And then all of a sudden the battery's dead, or someone buys it and they come back at me, hey, this thing's got bald tires or whatever. It's not my.
Sure.
I don't have time for any.
You
of that
just
kind of stuff.
you pass that off to your dad, sort of thing. If someone's like, "Hey, I'm looking for this car,"
But he's doing his own thing, so
sure,
that doesn't work.
Yeah.
That actually gets offered to me a lot, but I can't babysit that car plus
sure
what I do.
You just focus on what you're really good at and make sure.
Yeah, and as far as like cleanups, like what I offer is pretty. You can get the inside, you're going to get the outside, we're going to do the whole car, or maybe do the headlights plus an oil spray. That's it. There's nothing else.
Right.
Ceramic coating. There's no huge menu. Just keep it simple, and that works.
Sure. Now, there is like a bit of an art. There is an art to polishing a car and all that kind of stuff. And so, like, I mean, yeah, you started off at your dad's shop doing cleanups, all that kind of stuff. Then you opened up your own shop. Right. So are you just self-taught on everything? Did you have like a mentor that kind of showed you how to do all the stuff? Well,
I started off with a shop vac and a hand-me-down buffer and just like a bucket of water and a scrub brush. And then from there, I bought a used half-dead burnout extractor. I'm like, well, this thing's pretty cool. And it surely died, so I bought a new one, and then I got a different buffer. And over the years, now everything's changed. So I've got it's an orbital to groups. So it doesn't spin super fast like a grinder. It oscillates like a DA sander. Technology, things changing,
Right.
So I try and keep up with modern stuff like that, but
Yeah, it's always nice to have the best of the best, but at the same time, you can do with what you have.
yeah.
Right, to clean a car, right?
Right.
Yeah.
I can buff a car talking on the phone, eating a donut, with one hand. I can do it. My eyes are closed. I didn't advertise that.
Yeah.
have you ever?
Yeah.
Look at this guy.
Yeah.
Doing three things at one time.
Inside of a car, like I don't need my eyes. I gotta just routine.
Sure. Now, have you ever like polishing a car? Have you ever screwed up the paint or anything like that? Like
when I was a kid, I remember it was a red 2-door Cavalier, and back then cars had like aftermarket cell phone antennas in the back window, and I was trying, I guess, get like close to the edge of the B pillar in the window, and I caught the antenna, and it smashed the back window, and it domed, and it had tint, so I guess that kind of helped it in shape. And then I remember I touched it, and it fell. Smashed the whole back window.
No way.
No, luckily, his name's Steve. He has a body shop, or had a body shop around the corner, and I called him. He's like, I have a window. So I think it cost me $60, and I vacuumed up the mess, and nobody ever knew.
Wow.
I just never had a cell phone antenna again.
Oh, that's good. Wow. At least you learned from it too, I'm sure.
It's like, I was young. Oops.
Yeah.
And that's it. Like, I mean, there's all of your time detailing cars.
I burnt a spot in my own car the other day, just in a hurry, and
Right,
And what does burning a spot mean?
You get the paint too hot, and all of a sudden, right before your eyes, you get a bubble.
Wow.
Got it.
And
Okay.
what do you have to do to repair? Like, you got to clear
Everything.
coat it? Oh, wow. The whole panel or just that spot? Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Jesus, man. How about employees? Have they like screwed anything
I
up
do
in the past?
95% of the polishing,
Okay.
just for that reason.
Yeah.
But actually, I have a new guy, Chad, who isn't new, but he's good. He'll be back once things get rolling, and I don't have to worry. He can do it, and I know it's done right.
Sure. And that's one thing that I've always like really wanted to learn was polishing.
Sure.
I was like, man, like it'd be really cool to understand just how to do it, how to polish properly without like kind of burning through and
Filling
whatnot,
full
you
swirls
know?
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Filling every nook and cranny with compound because you got to get that out.
Exactly.
That might take you longer than the polish.
Yeah.
So it's just tricks.
There's an art to it, man. There really is.
Well, you can screw it up. You can make it look great. You can make it look worse.
Eyes, you can screw it up.
Yeah, that's true. I remember trying to do it myself too on a car that I had, and same thing. You do the whole clay, you do everything, you wax it, buff it, and you just take one extra step that you're not really paying attention. You can just, like you said, burn the clear coat off. And I remember I did it on the corner. Never again after that.
Yeah.
That's why there's professionals, right? That's why you pay the money to zero up it off and get it done
Do
right.
what you do best and get someone else to do the rest, whatever that saying is.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. Now, what would you say, last 19 years, what has been the best part about owning the detail shop?
Probably just meeting, for the most part, pretty cool people, and every year it gets bigger and better, and it's just, it's social, it's cool, and Dundas is a small place, so, and actually where I am, when I moved there, it was very industrial, like across the street's a factory, and that was still a working factory, And so trucks and forklifts, and the guys used to sit out front and eat lunch, and you'd hear the whistle go, and they'd like watch me do whatever I was doing while they had lunch. Now all that's changed, and I think there's like 30 businesses in that factory, and there's a brewery next door, so it's a lot of foot traffic. So that's even better for us because a lot of people in that area that's not industrial at all anymore.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Yeah, you build like your own little culture, right? People get to know you, build a relationship with you. You don't even know them, right? A lot of word of mouth, right? Yeah. And because you're personal.
I'm walking through a grocery store. I'm like, hey, Matt, what's up? I'm like, good, how you doing, man?
A little celebrity in a small town. Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
So, and obviously with owning the detail shop, a lot of other automotive things I'm sure you've had to experience. You went to SEMA, I've heard. You've done a lot of Barrett-Jackson stuff, right? So take us through those journeys. What has been fun about not only just doing the detail shop, but experiencing other things?
It's just the scene, the car scene. I can't really explain it until you're in it, but it's like, and again, you meet so many cool people and cool cars and whatever you're watching on TV, and then you get to be there in real life. It's so much cooler. You know what I mean? You got to be there.
Yeah, no,
you get
absolutely.
caught up in the moment. How much fun did we have at SEMA?
Too much, man. And there was a lot of beers, a lot of drinking going on, and just like meeting other car guys.
We got extremely lucky with where we were. Like I had a lady put mustard on my sandwich for me. Like that's never happened in my life.
And that was so that was Barrett-Jackson.
Right.
That
we were VIP with like everybody that you've ever seen on TV show. We were in a mezzanine above the stage watching that, and everything was paid for.
Yeah.
So I got my money's worth.
And even like going up, like so at Barrett-Jackson, if you guys don't know about Barrett-Jackson, basically it's a car auction, like the biggest car auction probably in the world, North America, and all the celebrities are there. Anyone that's in the car world is there. All the big dogs, race car drivers. I mean, a little bit of everything, and
actors, car builders, just even people that are. It's like a weekend for people with too much money. It's just like a tax write-off, and they'll go and spend millions on a car that's only worth $500,000 just to be on TV for like their 2 seconds of fame. You know,
sure.
Cool. It's entertaining.
Yeah, and it's so crazy how someone could spend like 10 years building a car, and then it goes up on this auction block, and like in a minute, they're going through the auction, and the bids are coming through, and this thing's getting bid up like crazy, and just seeing that process of these guys rolling up, boom.
One
bunch
after
of
the other.
bids, one after another, boom, it's done, it's sold, next car, like, and they just keep rolling with it.
And some of the prices of these cars too.
They're insane.
It's over hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Right.
Not to say you don't know about the car. I'm sure you do a lot of research before bidding for the car, right?
I think Barrett-Jackson though, they just get, obviously they're drinking for free, and I think it just gets extremely out of control, which is fine for all those guys. But on Monday morning they might start scratching their head and realize, what did I buy?
Got some liquid courage.
But I'm sure it's whatever tax write-off, and they can handle it. It wouldn't be there if they couldn't. But,
Sure, man.
That's true.
Yeah. So going to like car shows like Barrett-Jackson, SEMA, which is in Las Vegas, being around all that kind of stuff, and being in the car industry. I mean, does that have kind of any benefit to you? Like when you come back home and you're, seeing some of your
as
customers?
far as like my business, no, not really.
Sure.
It's my clientele is head soccer moms and old people, so they have nothing to do with what I do in the weekends. It's just it just makes it more fun, I guess.
It does.
Breaks up the work week.
It does. Yeah. And it's so funny, man. Like I've been around cars since I was a little kid and like all that kind of stuff. And it's just the community of all the guys and the people that have so much passion for this, industry, and the amount of time and artistic like passion they have for these vehicles, making something theirs and kind of, I mean, you're in the middle of building a truck right now.
Yeah, 56 Ford pickup truck. And I'm trying to, when the hood's closed, it's going to look like it was built in 1960, 61, 62. So I'll just run you through it. So it's got 62 Chrysler grille and headlights. So it's got Canon quad headlights. It's got a 2-inch chop, molded drip rail, shaved. Everything's shaved except the holes for the wipers because they want chrome bullets just because it's cool. It's got a dash into the 56 holes, steering column and the steering wheels at 59 holes, 52 Buick taillights, 56 Merc hubcaps. So it's going to look old except for obviously the drivetrain because you got to go.
Sure.
But,
That's fun.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And that's crazy, man, that you can like visualize and kind of see, over all the years, maybe going to car shows for 25 years and kind of seeing all these different old cars and being like, I love those headlights. I love that dash. I love those taillights sort of thing.
It's a theme like this. I've been buying little pieces for this truck even before I had the truck and just figuring out what I want to do and how I want to do it. There's a lot of those trucks out there, but if you're asking me, they're not really done right now.
Sure.
So this one's going to be cool.
Sure. Now, if in a perfect world, if you could start building cars, and you had your own shop, team of guys, sort of thing, would that be something that
would all be traditional hot rods and customs, nothing modern.
Sure.
Maybe as modern as like an LS, but other than that, an air ride, but nothing modern.
All old school, 50s, all the way.
64 and older, traditional hot rods and customs, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, so you would open a shop like that, like if
I could, but I don't. It costs a fortune, and I don't do that kind of work. So I would just be there talking.
Yeah,
right.
Good at that, but
it requires a team. You need a body guy, mechanic, painter, everything,
and the price of everything, like, be a fortune.
Right.
Yeah. But even like the visionary, side of things, even like a Chip Foose type of guy, where he he'll draw it out. He sees the vision of how it's to be built, sort of thing. And someone like you that's been around so many cars and car builders and all that kind of stuff all your life, and you can kind of see what the end product will be like, and being that visionary type guy. And then obviously having the team to execute.
Like my 36 Ford, when I bought it, it was right out of the 80s. The ugliest 36 Ford you've ever seen. I wouldn't even show you a picture if I had one. It was nasty. Yeah. And now it was pretty slick.
That thing is
from the 80s and turned it back, like 50s.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah. Oh, yeah, man, that's awesome. But yeah, so like even just going back to the detailing. So let's say you have a young guy that's out there and he's looking to start like a detail shop or just like slowly get into the business, looking for a side hustle or making a little bit of money. He's in high school. What would you say to him? Like, how would you get started, sort of thing, and get into the business?
Yeah, it's great. You just can't be lazy. That's all. The sky's the limit. Just go for it. And there's a lot of detailers out there, and it's not like I'm worried about competition and stuff like that. And I would just do it. The answer is no unless you ask.
Yeah. And the biggest thing, too, the difference with you, right? A lot back in 2004, 2005, a lot of word of mouth, a lot of, hey, I detail cars, come to my shop.
Got a lot of help from like local garages and even car lots in town. Back then, there was way more car lots and garages. They're kind of dying out. But
build a relationship, right? You feed off one or the other. But now it feels like if somebody were to start it today, they really got to be all forced on social media.
I got lucky that way. So if you don't know anybody and you're going to start a detail shop, you better be good at advertising, I guess. Right?
And that's what it feels like today. If you're a business owner today, you got to be good at social media. You got to be good with editing, right? But versus businesses that have been out for 10, 20 years, 30 years, starting to get into social media now, right? I'm sure even now, I'm sure you don't need to advertise for your business because
But that's lacking big time. I need to get on that. Like it's stupid not to. It's so popular. So I should smarten up and do it.
Yeah, well, it broad your audience too, right? And I'm sure you want to expand, right? Maybe get a separate location or go mobile,
or even just the shit that I do every day. If someone wants to see, I do some pretty cool before and afters, or even what I do in the weekends and at night with driving around or cool cars and motorcycles and fire and mayhem. It's got to get out there.
Well, it's different detailing a Toyota Corolla versus detailing the type of cars that you detail. I'm sure for a lot of older cars, a lot of guys bring it to your shop, right? So a lot of nostalgia that people can see at your store.
A lot of people think that we do only old cars, which is not true. But it's like somehow I got to get it out there that we do anything.
Yeah.
Well, not anything, but a car, a truck. Never mind motorhomes or boats or buses, but
sure. Yeah.
And what would you say the next steps are for Hayes Detail or yourself? What do you see 5 years from now? Goals?
Full speed ahead, 100 miles an hour. Really, nothing's going to change. Just every year gets bigger and better, and I'm gonna go for it.
Wow,
so.
And that's crazy too. Like from where you started, you had the original shop, and then eventually you had
car and a half.
Your car and a half.
So one car would be inside, and then I would pull up a car, do like the front. And then once I got the front done, I would spin around and do the back just to be out of the sun.
That's crazy. And then eventually you're like, I need more room. And then
I would start to turn away more than I was doing. I was going backwards. Like, this isn't – I still do that. But anyway, So I took over more of the building, and it was like crazy, like night and day.
Sure.
But with bigger space comes bigger bills. I needed like 2 more vacuums, 2 more bodies.
To fill the space, right?
You get a monthly nut that you got to crack.
Sure.
Absolutely.
And were you kind of anticipating those costs as you were expanding? that you're like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna add this extra bay sort of thing, or this.
Yeah, and
extra
I
room?
wasn't really worried because I had so much. I'm busy, right? So it was just kind of overwhelming, especially being commercial. Like all these, I call them Horizon and utilities, and they need $1,000 deposits. So I'm like, what? I didn't know that. Not like residential; they need deposits. So
Right.
that sucked, and it was like in March, and it wasn't really working. And we're ripping up walls. We're doing this. We're doing that. So. I got over it, but that was probably the biggest part of it.
Sure. So you were just kind of on the fly, just like learning as you go.
Yeah.
As things would come up, you're like, oh, I need, more vacuums, or to hook up more heat, or get a furnace
sure.
going. I mean,
For
you're
sure.
just
Like,
figuring it out.
the vacuums are so finicky. Like if you don't wash them out every night, they can't sit. They can't do this. You can't pull with the hoses. It's like you got to be so careful because they're temperamental.
Sure.
And if it's not working, everybody suffers.
Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah.
the whole business. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, and that's so important, for entrepreneurs to know out there that, like, you don't have to have this like crazy big plan sort of thing. Just like get out there, go do it, see what works, what doesn't.
Right? You'll find out pretty quick what works and what doesn't.
Exactly, and just you're like you have this massive vision, or you just keep going every day and just trying a little bit at a time.
Any advice? Just don't bite off more than you could chew in the beginning because that's not going to work.
Yeah, you're only one person, right?
Exactly.
Because how long could it take to detail a car for one person?
For me, it takes a little longer because I'm on the phone so much. But if I just would start, say, at 8, I could probably have it done before lunch.
Okay.
Like inside, outside, wheels, tires, door jambs, floor mats, all that kind of
Yeah. And just for the viewers out there that maybe want to get the car cleaned, like how much do you charge for outside, waxing, inside? Give us kind of like a...
So it's a $150 bill to do the interior. So that, you name it, seats, carpets, floor mats, door panels, dash, vents, glass, all that. Brand new, well, as new as it can be if it's, if you're an animal, it's not going to clean up that nice. But depends on the car. And same, again, it's $150 for the outside. And that's polished, wax, wheels, tires, door jambs, windows. Again, if it's a nice car, it's going to look good. But if you bring a bulldozer, it's not going to,
More time,
Exactly.
more work, right? Because I'm sure you've seen some bad
Pretty
cars
nasty
come
shit,
in. Yeah.
What's the worst thing that's ever rolled into the shop, and you're like, dude, get this thing out of here. I'm not.
The worst thing, the guy was super ignorant, was an Explorer, and as soon as I got in, I could smell barf. So I'm looking
Ugh.
around, and I think I opened up the third row of seats, and there was a giant pile of barf and a dead mouse beside it. So you scrape it up, which is disgusting, all the chunks, and then once you get it wet, you can smell of vodka and orange juice. So someone obviously was at a party. So we cleaned it up, and I told the guy who was sick in the back seat, oh, someone was sick?
Bullshit.
What was going on?
Right. Oh, I didn't
The guy was
know.
just a prick.
Wow.
Jerk, man.
And then you just something like that, you just turn it away, or do you do the job?
We did
and
it.
Charge extra?
Move on, yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
It's funny too, like even like in an Uber, like if someone vomits or like spills food in the back of an Uber, I think automatically there's like a cleaning fee sort of
yeah,
thing.
for sure.
Have you ever had anyone like that, like that has an Uber and they're like, hey man, like someone like spilled a bunch of food in the back or something like that? Like,
Someone did call an Uber driver, but that particular day I couldn't do it, and they obviously moved on. Because normally, once the weather breaks, they go from like a 10-day to 2-week waiting list. So I can't do... Oh, obviously, I'd squeeze it in if it's a real emergency, but you need something done that day.
yeah, it's by appointment only. You're a busy shop. If people are looking to get their vehicle
Right.
detailed by you, make sure you plan in advance.
Exactly.
Call ahead, call Matt, and
Right.
he'll fit you in.
Someone will
So
call, my lease is up, I got to have it cleaned up today in an hour.
sure.
Can't help you.
Sorry.
I'm getting married tomorrow. Can you do my car? I'm like, most of the time, no.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny too when people, like, even for myself, I know when I go to one of those car washes where it's like the tunnels and people detail cars and it's like $40, $50, you get so disappointed with the turnout, and but rightfully so, because of the fact you're going in there. It's supposed to be quick, just to, obviously if you have a pet and you have pet hair everywhere, you're like, why didn't you get all the pet hair? Versus you're going to spend the time.
Oh, for sure. It might take you like 45 minutes to get all that dog hair out of there. Or you do that and they come back to pick their car up and they put the dog back in right away. I'm like, I didn't even enjoy it. That's your problem.
There's nothing like hopping into a freaking
A clean
freshly
car.
clean car, man.
Yeah.
Like the smell of it. You're driving around and
You
then
just
like,
feel better.
you're like, I can't eat this thing, man. Like, there's no way. You're having a coffee.
You can
and
drive
everything
faster
worried
too,
When you're driving by like a glass building and you want to look at it.
You look at yourself.
about. Exactly. That's a
absolutely.
big one for
Wow.
sure. For
Now, obviously, we're going to end the podcast soon, but I just wanted to touch base because I know you joined a group recently. Tell us what group you joined and a little bit about what it
So
is.
it's a car club called the Beatniks, and they're worldwide, and I am currently the only Canadian.
Wow, only Canadian. Okay, cool. So what did it take to get into the group? How long did it take? Give us a little rundown.
I met them in September 2016, and they're a super cool group of guys. I met them in New Jersey. So these guys are from the East Coast, and I've seen them all over the place.
Right. And was that a relationship of like going to SEMA, car shows?
No,
like
they're not really into. Well, they're there, but like they're more like just more of a group, like social, a lot of hanging out, driving. You just can't join, you know. You know what I'm saying? You know,
Yeah.
it's a cool group.
Because I heard it took some time to join the
I
group.
hung out for 6 years, except 2 years I was a pen pal because of COVID.
Wow.
I recently just got in last Labor Day.
Right.
Wow. Okay. So just
And
not too long
I've
ago.
met so many cool people. I have so much. All I do is eat and laugh when I meet up with guys from the West Coast, the East Coast, Austin, Japan, Australia. It's just a great group of guys, and it's opened up like.
Huge culture, I'm sure,
Huge.
right? Because you probably don't even know some of these guys when you meet them for the first time, but you just already have that brotherhood
Oh,
mentality.
Yeah.
How's it going? How are you? And you just dive right into the conversations, you know, about what cars they've had.
We're all there for the same reason. You know?
Right. The love, the passion,
Exactly.
cars, you know, and there's some celebrities in there too in that group, right?
Yeah.
Can you name a few that you know or?
Well, other than myself. Like Jack Rudy, Rick Dorr, Alex Gambino, there's lots
A lot of guys. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's so cool. And I'm sure it's still growing, be growing for the next years. And like, what are some requirements to join the group, if you're allowed to say, or?
Yeah, you can't be a knob. Like a 64 and older traditional hot rod and custom.
Okay.
You know, you gotta, I hate to say it, but you gotta like dig the scene, you know.
Yeah.
Tattoos,
Everything.
It's all part of it. Facial hair.
Fish.
Yeah. Yeah, you definitely got good
Yeah.
hair, that's for sure.
thanks.
Yeah. Always jealous of this guy's hair, you know? Every time I see him. Always the first thing I say is a comment about his hair. Like, hey, you know, it looks good today.
Thank you.
I think people started wearing that hair
I think
like
so,
that
yeah,
because
yeah.
they're like, man, I want that flow, bro.
I know. It's just, I can't stop looking at it.
Oh man,
That's
yeah.
great.
Yeah.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much, Matt,
Thanks
for
for
being on the
having
podcast. If anybody wants to see the car clean, detailed, Matt Hayes is definitely the guy to go and see. Also, too, if you're a young kid or somebody inspiring to want to detail cars, maybe contact Matt and see if he can get you a job. Obviously, he's looking for new employment every year, I'm sure, all the time, because he's looking to inspire a lot of younger kids. And if you're looking for a job just to get into it and try something and see if it's a passion for you, contact Matt. And thank you again, Matt, for coming onto the show. Be sure to hit that subscribe button, hit the notifications so you don't miss out on anything. And again, just want to say a huge thank you to everybody on tuning into today's episode, and we will catch you in the next one. See you guys.
Adios.
All right.